Hi, my name is Nancy Love, and I never thought I'd have to say this, but here goes. I'm making this video to warn people that this kind of bizarre thing can occur. It's happened at least in two cities that I know of because I've been talking to people about this for several years, about half a decade, and it's happened again recently. There are people who, maybe when you hear what I have to say, you'll get yourself sterilized or just make a real commitment to birth control so that you don't bring anybody else onto a world in which this kind of thing happens. But here goes. Seriously, if this thing can happen to anybody, human beings are so foul that you don't want any more of them around. You don't want to expose an innocent to this kind of thing. There are people in Southern California, possibly parts beyond, where they are saying that they are legally marrying people or somehow marrying them in what they call devil worshipping ceremonies. Private ceremonies occurring in places where they have drugged people who aren't even aware that they're there, who will have no memories of the event. Some of them are completely unconscious. They're sedated to the point of complete unconsciousness. Some of them are sedated with other types of things that cause cognitive impairment and a lack of ability to offer consent. And some of these people who've told me that they're doing this, they're performing marriage ceremonies with people who are present but not giving consent to any such thing. They haven't signed on for anything. They haven't gone to the courthouse and gotten a marriage certificate with anyone on purpose. They're not aware or willing, to participate in this kind of ceremony. Or, and I think this is probably even more common, where one person goes to the county when these things are legal and not just some kind of devil worship garbage. And believe me, all devil worshiping is garbage. Talk about praying to the wrong God. um, these people are getting certificates that are either fake to begin with, completely fraudulent, just made up documents that look real but aren't, or they're going to county offices and getting marriage certificates, marriage licenses, and then claiming that someone signed it with them and participated in a ceremony. So I never thought I'd be saying this, but apparently there are people who are trying to marry other people who don't want to marry them. And some of these people are doing this to where it appears to be a legal phenomenon, and some of them are doing it in a way that is some sort of devil worshiping garbage phenomenon. Now, when they're doing it in a way that makes it appear to be legal, either they've really gotten a license from a real county office, or they are faking it, doing some sort of fraudulent printout that looks legitimate, and they're using it uh, for legal purposes that way. They're usually doing it to get benefits, government benefits, whether that's Social Security or food stamps or something. They're trying to get retirement benefits or something in someone else's name, and they are also possibly trying to get into line as an heir. Yeah, that it gets really insidious. They might be planning on murdering their new spouse who is inadvertent and not a willing spouse or even knowing about it. And this has happened. I'm so angry about this because this has happened three times that I know of to people I know of personally. And I've talked I know the people who found out that they were, illegally, involuntarily married to somebody else, without their knowledge, certainly without their permission or with any desire to be hitched to that person. And I've also talked to people who are doing it. And some of them are just these devil worshipping crap people who are so stupid they're into drugs and rituals and crap of that nature. And they're actually just doing it to mess with people, just doing it to try to own them or trying to be involved with them on some level because they're so inferior. No, the good person, the moral person wouldn't marry them to begin with. So there they are, trying to marry them without their permission. But I think much more likely they're trying to do this, as I said, for to make it seem like there's a legal relationship there. And I have talked to both the victims and the perpetrators, and I'm sure that this is happening. There are literally people who will try to marry you without your knowledge or permission. And if you refuse to be involved with them in any way, because you're smart enough to not want to go there with someone that unscrupulous and unholy, they will try to marry you without your knowledge or permission and flaunt the document and then tell you that they've got a certificate and that your name is on it and that you're married to them. This is the most outrageous form of abuse. This is one of the most outlandish things I personally have ever heard of. And it is a sign of the end times, from what I can tell. It is a sign that humanity has become so completely degraded and so profoundly immoral and useless that, I'm really losing hope in all humans. If it looks like a human, it's probably a worthless criminal. That's pretty much where I'm at anymore. I really, really, really have become practically a complete misanthrope because of the kinds of things that I have heard both from the poor victims of these sorts of marriages that aren't, because you can't marry someone who's not willing to marry you or even conscious when it's presumably happens and never signed a document or in any way was on board with that whole thing. And you can't, you just can't justify that kind of jealousy, insecurity, attempts to appropriate their resources. You can't drug somebody into loving you. You can't go to the county and get a fake certificate and expect anybody to care about you. You've just proven that you're a completely worthless slob who has no value as a humanoid and should be blasted off to Mars and go dig in that dirt. I just really, really, really can't believe that I have to say things like this, but I'm telling you about them because, from what I can tell by both the victims and the perpetrators of these crimes, what I'm saying is actually true. And it's happened in San Diego and it's happened in Los Angeles. I heard of it happening in LA in, I think, 2016 and 2017. And I've heard of it happening twice in San Diego, California, including very recently to someone who was beautiful and intelligent and not interested in any of this crap. And yet that person now has to deal with the legal finagling of trying to make sure she isn't inadvertently married to someone who is a thief and a criminal and crazy. This stuff is completely insane. And I am so tired. I'm so tired of having to deal with people who are immoral, inferior, insane. They should be out of here. They should be off world. So, how's that for planet peace? That's the way we're really going to achieve peace on Earth, isn't it? All the good are going to have to ally and rise and do something with all the bad. But we need this planet to ourselves. And that is the strangest darn video I have ever made.